Just hours after the U.S. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, landed in Taiwan, the U.S. and Chinese foreign ministers are expected to face each other at the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or the ASEAN annual ministerial meeting. The summit aims to tackle the deepening regional crisis in Myanmar in particular, amid several other security issues. Listen in.
ក្នុងករណីមានអ្នកទោសដទៃទៀតដែលនឹងត្រូវកាត់ទោសប្រហារជីវិតយើងនឹងត្រូវបង្ខំចិត្តគិតគូរឡើងវិញអំពីទួលនីតិរបស់យើងចំពោះការព្រមព្រៀងជាឯកច្ឆន្ទ5ចំណុចរបស់អាស៊ាន
Meanwhile, the ASEAN ministers will push to ramp up pressure on Myanmar's junta. The 10-country Association of Southeast Asian Nations has been trying to restore peace across the island. The Ukraine war and Beijing's growing influence in the South China Sea too are on the agenda. Let's listen in.
តែដោយខ្ញុំបានជម្រាបជូនពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងរបៀបវរៈក៏ដូចជាចំណុចពិភាក្សាសំខាន់របស់រដ្ឋមន្ត្រីការបរទេសនៅក្នុងថ្ងៃនេះគឺមានប្រធានបទមួយពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងបញ្ហាតំបន់ហើយនិងបញ្ហាសកលខ្ញុំគិតថារដ្ឋមន្ត្រីការបរទេសក៏ប្រហែលជាយកឱកាសនេះដើម្បីធ្វើការពិភាក្សាគ្នាផ្លាស់ប្ដូរយោបល់ក៏ដូចជាស្វែងរកចំណុចរួមណាមួយដើម្បីឲ្យអាស៊ានអាចចូលរួមចំណែកក្នុងការសម្របសម្រួលក៏ដូចជាក្នុងការបញ្ចេញជាមតិយោបល់ដើម្បីធ្វើយ៉ាងណាឲ្យស្ថានភាពនៅកោះតៃវ៉ាន់មានស្ថានភាពមួយដែលស្ថិរភាពមិននាំទៅដល់ចំនួនមិននាំទៅដល់ការកើនឡើងនៃកម្ដៅនយោបាយរវាងភាគីពាក់ព័ន្ធទាំងអស់ពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយ
Last week, the grouping condemned the Myanmar military's execution of 4 prisoners, with parts of the bloc growing frustrated at the lack of progress. A coup in Myanmar last year left the country in a state of chaos, with the death toll from a brutal military crackdown on dissent passing 2,100. The ASEAN foreign ministers are expected to lament the lack of progress on the regional bloc's 5-point consensus plan on Myanmar's conflict that called for an immediate end to violence and dialogue between the junta and coup opponents. But more than a year has passed. Malaysia has said that it will present a framework for its implementation. The absence of Myanmar's top diplomat may delay the progress, however. The Southeast Asian foreign ministers will also seek ways to help calm down tensions over Taiwan, especially amid Nancy Pelosi's visit to the region. The Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi and his American counterpart Antony Blinken are also taking part in wider ministerial meetings involving key ASEAN dialogue partners. Now, for more analysis about Nancy Pelosi's highly debated visit to Taiwan, joining us now is Vincent Chow, a former political director at Taiwan's representative office in Washington, D.C. Welcome to the broadcast, Vincent. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
My first question, China is gearing up for military drills in the region in retaliation to Pelosi's visit. Will this mark a new low in U.S.-China relations over Taiwan?
I don't think so. I think that obviously we're going to see short-term tensions and we're going to see some short-term actions taken against peace and stability here in the Taiwan Strait. But I don't think that this is going to be the defining event where we're going to see either a new low within China-U.S. relations or where we see heightened regional tensions as a result here on forward. So I think we have to be clear that Pelosi's visit here to Taiwan is entirely consistent with U.S. policy towards Taiwan. It has been done before in 1997 when a past Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, came to Taiwan. And so it's certainly something that has been done before, and it should not be cause for overreaction by Beijing.
Right. You're saying this visit shouldn't be a cause for overreaction by Beijing, but at the same time, China is planning live-fire military drills in retaliation. So how do we justify that?
It's unfortunate. I think what the PRC has been doing in recent years is trying to show a more muscular foreign policy approach, and whether it's towards Taiwan, whether it's towards India, whether it's towards Japan, and I think we're seeing a scenario where the PRC has really tried to flex military muscles in response to events that would have potentially flown under the radar in the past. So I'm again referring to 1997 when the last Speaker of the House came to Taiwan. The Chinese side raised a protest over it. They did not engage in live-fire exercises over it. Now we're seeing the same event 25 years later, and Beijing has chosen to respond in an entirely different way. And so my fear is that when we go down this route, when we start appeasing Chinese reactions, we're going to see much more of this as time goes by. And this is why I think it's important from Taiwan's perspective to say, we're going to let you throw your temper tantrum. We're going to let you do what you want, but we're not going to allow this to impact the larger trajectory of Taiwan's international relationships.
Right, that's a very interesting choice of words, a temper tantrum at Beijing's part. But this visit by Pelosi is far more than just a diplomatic outreach. Pelosi has clearly said that she wants to make it clear that the US will not abandon Taiwan. How tangible is the fear that China may use force to claim Taiwan as its own?
Well, certainly the costs and risks of, the risks definitely of cross-strait engagements have increased dramatically over the past few years. The PRC is flying military jets into Taiwan's air defense identification zone on a regular basis now. And this was not the case when we looked 5 or 6 years in the past. So certainly the Chinese have been ramping up the rhetoric, heightening the tensions. But I think it's also very, very important for us to take a step back and look intensely at what keeps Taiwan safe. And we have to be clear-eyed on that. And what keeps Taiwan safe is, number one, defense deterrence, and this is precisely what Taiwan has been undergoing. But number two, also Taiwan's international partnerships. So the stronger the interest the U.S. can take in Taiwan's security, the more of a security guarantee they can give in terms of peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. All of that contributes to Taiwan's stability. All of that contributes to Taiwan's security. And ultimately, I think all of that is going to contribute to all of us being able to keep peace within the Taiwan Strait and within the Indo-Pacific region.
Absolutely. Just a final question there, Vincent. China has also stepped up the economic retaliation to Pelosi's visit. Beijing has announced a range of bans and sanctions on Taiwanese imports and businesses. How is that likely to impact Taiwan?
These are sanctions that are quite targeted against a number of agricultural industries. Agriculture is not Taiwan's largest industry, so in terms of GDP, the impact is not going to be large. Of course, it's going to affect farmers. It's going to affect some foodstuff manufacturers. But the repercussions should be quite limited. I think, but more broadly, what again this shows is the need for Taiwan to economically diversify. Over 40% of our exports and imports are reliant on the Chinese market, and that gives the PRC enormous political leverage over Taiwan. And so what we hope to do during Pelosi's visit is continue to emphasize to her, as well as other policymakers in the U.S., the importance of Taiwan's economic security as well as our economic self-sufficiency.
Right, absolutely, Vincent. Thank you so much for all those insights. And we'll, of course, continue to track the story as Pelosi's engagements in Taiwan get underway. Thanks for joining us on WION at this hour.
Thank you.
WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.